I think we have time naman, no? Ano po yung bagong update ninyo tungkol din sa COVID-19 new variant?
Yes, sir. Gusto lang ho namin magpakita ng update do sa contact tracing na naisagawa na para dito sa variants. Can we have the slides, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you po, Secretary. Mabilis lang po. Next slide, please. So for the 1,154 samples sequenced from the latest strands sa Philippine Genome Center, yung last week po, we were able to identify, as you all know, 16 additional cases with the B.1.1.7 variant or the UK variant. This is aside from the case that we have from Dubai, bringing the total to 17. These 16 additional cases were 2 returning overseas Filipinos from Lebanon on the same flight, 13 from the Cordillera Administrative Region, and a case from Calamba City, Laguna. Next slide, please. First, our 2 returning overseas Filipinos are females aged 47 and 64. They arrived in Manila from Lebanon via PAL PR 8661 last December 29. They were tested and quarantined. When their results came back positive, they were placed in a facility for isolation. They have finished the mandated isolation and were discharged last January 9 and 13 respectively. 1 returning overseas Filipino went home to Leon, Iloilo. The other ROF went home to Binangonan, Rizal as indicated in her details, but we are still verifying this. Next slide, please. The other 14 cases were traced to 3 different municipalities. First are 12 cases from Bontoc Mountain Province. 7 were males. There were 3 aged less than 18 years old and 3 aged more than 60 years old. 11 came from just 1 barangay. The earliest date of illness among all of these cases was on December 31. 3 remain admitted while others have completed their isolation. We also have a 22-year-old male from La Trinidad, Benguet, who was tested last January 7. He is asymptomatic and remains to be isolated in a Benguet temporary treatment and monitoring facility. The last is a 23-year-old who was tested last December 10 and had already been discharged from isolation. He is from Region 4A and we are following up on his contact details and the other contacts that he had been with. So take note that based on the latest available data, our case from Calamba City is not linked to cases from La Trinidad or Bontoc. We are still verifying if there is a link between the La Trinidad case to the Bontoc cases. Next slide. So in this table, we would like to show the contact tracing done by the local government officials together with the DOH of the 12 cases of this UK variant. They identified 144 close contacts for these 12 cases. We can see in this table that our UK variant cases were linked to each other and their exposure occurred at their household, in workplaces, and in public places in the community. 8 of the UK variant cases were identified as close contacts of the 4 other UK variant cases. There were 34 other confirmed cases among the close contacts of these UK variant cases. We are now securing the samples of these 34 positive cases for sequencing at the UP Philippine Genome Center. Next slide, please. And our ongoing response activities, the lockdown in Bontoc was recommended that it be extended for another 2 weeks. There is further investigation of cases to see if there are linkages among these cases. But initially, we were already able to identify 3 clusters of infection involving all of these contacts who turned positive, and these 3 clusters had linkages with each other. So the contact tracing among all of these 16 new UK variant cases are ongoing, and we will be providing information in the coming days. That's all, Mr. Secretary. Thank you very much.
Oo. Ma'am, tanong lang po, no, dahil ako'y taga Baguio, no? Ito ba hong kaso ng Bontoc at La Trinidad nanggaling dun sa eroplano ng Emirates o ito po ay community acquired? Meron na ba ho tayong alam kung saan nanggaling?
Ito po ay bine-verify pa lang, Mr. Secretary, no? At atin pong alam na meron lang tayong umuwing kababayan noong December 13 at siya po ay nakabalik sa Bontoc Province on December 14. He had celebrations with his family and the other members of the community on December 25. And on the 26th, he attended a ritual for their religious beliefs with other members of the community as well. On December 29, he started feeling symptoms, and in the succeeding days, all the other members who are close contacts experienced symptoms also. So yun pa lang ho ang alam natin sa ngayon, atin pa hong bine-verify talaga ang original source of infection.
Maraming salamat, Yusek Vergere. Nananawagan po ako sa ating mga kapatid dyan sa Bontoc, no? Kung nakasama nyo po yung galing sa abroad na kababayan ninyo na ngayon po ay kumpirmadong nagkasakit, sana po kayo ay maging homeliners, mag-isolate na po kayo, at kung meron po kayo nararamdaman na symptoms ay agarang pumunta sa pinakamalapit na DOH para kayo po ay mag-test. Wag na po kayong makihalubilo sa iba dahil alam nyo naman po, no? Ang Bontoc dati, kakaunti lang ang kaso at kaya pa rin po nating ma-isolate ito. No? Hindi naman ibig sabihin na dapat kumalat ito kung tayo po ay mag-isolate na ngayon. Pia Ranada, please.
Hello? Hi, Sec.
Yes, go ahead.
Hello? Yes, sir.
Go ahead, good morning.
Yeah, you said earlier, sir, that the president promised yung families po ng soldiers na namatay dun sa plane crash a vaccine. Sir, we express condolences to these families, but is this tantamount with families skipping the line? And what happened to the government prioritization if the president were to continue doing this, no, giving vaccines to whoever he wants?
Well, I think hindi naman po nababago, no? Ang ini-expand lang niya ay kasama yung mga kapamilya ng mga kasundaluhan. And that's out of recognition on the part of the President na talagang importante po ang papel na ginagalawan o ginagampan ng ating mga men in uniform because theirs is the maintenance of peace and order in our society.
So, sir, just to clarify, he wasn't referring to just the families of the soldiers who died in the plane crash, but to all families of all soldiers in the Philippines.
I believe that is what the President said, no? As to how this will be implemented, it will still be up to the IATF.
Is there an idea of where in the prioritization sila? Kasi sir, di ba 5th yung uniformed personnel, so does that make them the 6th in line?
Hindi ko pa po sigurado, no? But as I said, I leave that to the IATF to operationalize, no? Pero wag naman po kayo mag-alala kasi sa ating initial list, 24 million ang ating babakunahan, no? If at all, siguro madadagdagan po ito ng mga 2 million if there are 3 members of family of the men in uniform, no? At sobra-sobra naman po yung inaasahan na nating dadating na bakuna by the 2nd or 3rd quarter of the year.
And sir, what does it say in the process of prioritization if the president can just say in a speech that, oh, I want to give these families a vaccine, and yet wala namang meeting by the IATF? I mean, final na ba yun just because the president says so? Or does the IATF have to discuss it and then mapaprioritize?
The IATF, executive power is well defined under the Constitution, Pia, no? And of course, the IATF is advisory in nature. They recommend to the president, but the IATF's decisions are in fact implemented because of the president's actions and pronouncements.
So, sir, does the IATF agree that families of soldiers who, many of them may not have comorbidities, many of them may not be elderly or even in poverty, do they deserve more prioritization, say, than people who have comorbidities or others?
I don't think I need to answer that kasi nasagot ko na po, no? It is IATF that will operationalize what the President said. So, antayin po muna natin ang sasabihin ng IATF.
Lastly na lang, sir, for you, and then I hope I can ask si Secretary Mon.
Thank you very much, Pia. You've already asked 5 questions, Pia. I'm so sorry, no? Siguro mamaya po, kung may panahon pa tayo for second round. But back to you, Sakraki, please.